Here's a warning for headphone users and people with loud speakers. Turn them down now. Okay, nerd term time. Before we start, there are a few technical things I wanted to get out of the way. Number one, a distribution is like a skin of Linux. I can only think about this in the way of Android. So if you look at a Samsung versus the average Android phone, the Samsung really does feel different to their normal Android phone. And that's because Samsung has their own Android skin, or their own Android operating system. In Linux, we would call that a distribution because it's the same thing at the core with just a few differences. Majority of the differences being the package manager and what apps are installed on it when you get it. Also how it looks out of the box. Term number two. Basically, this is not actually going to be a term, but more of a generalization kind of. So a Raspberry Pi runs on an ARM CPU, which is the same thing you have in phones, and desktops run on an x86 CPU, something from AMD or Intel. This means a massive performance gap and a gap in the way things are coded on each platform. End of nerd term time. Jokes aside, could you actually use this distro daily? With features like incredibly SUSSY, custom wallpaper start menu that can be found in pictures Among OS, a color palette to match Among Us, custom NeoFetch logo, MC Pi Reborn. Basically, if you haven't heard of Minecraft Pi, it was the default Minecraft for Raspberry Pi. It wasn't actually really Minecraft. Somebody coded it to work with the Raspberry Pi. They aren't keeping it updated and all that kind of stuff. So Minecraft Pi is just a project where people are bringing back the Minecraft Pi thing and keeping it up to date, more or less. Uses OpenBox VM, LXDE, allowing you to switch between two desktop spaces with a scroll wheel similar to macOS. Among Us, an open source Among Us alternative to the playable in-terminal use Among Us software to host a local server, and it basically is some sort of Among Us client, I guess. $skip, a simple C app to ignore signs inputted in the start of a command for copying commands from online tutorials. That is really nice. NCDU and TLDR. Pi apps, x86 for the x64 build. Basically, that means you can run Raspberry Pi apps on a desktop computer, which is nice for some people. I can't think of any Raspberry Pi apps I'd like to run on my desktop. Minus 69% compliance with the SUSS specification. I don't count this as a feature. This is like taking away from the thing, but I don't care. It's fine. So do these features make the operating system better or worse? For this video, I'm going to be comparing it to 3 different operating systems because comparing it just to Windows doesn't make any sense because it's a Linux operating system, and because Linux is diverse, there are many different distributions that can be easy to get up and started, so I might as well test it with 2 other Linux distributions as well. I'm going to be testing it with Windows 10 because Windows 11 is trash, Pop! OS, which is one of the most popular gaming distributions, and Mint, which is one of the most popular non-gaming distributions, which you can still use for gaming. Linux is Linux. And now after running all of those things, as I've been maining all of them, all for a significant amount of time. I mained Among OS more than a week. I mained it for more than a week. Pop! OS for I think a week as well. And Mint I've been going off and on. That's my, well, hacking kinda, and if I want to open anything nefarious possibly on a distribution that's not Windows, I'm opening it on Mint. I've actually made Windows for quite some time. I'm actually editing this video on Windows because Adobe says I have to. With Premiere Pro, you can only run it on Windows. So if you guys have any open source alternatives to Premiere Pro, I'd love to know because I cannot get Adobe off my back. So yeah. Also, I watch anime on Mint just because I can. I'll show you guys why in another video, but yeah. My problems with Among OS. If you turn the operating system off, you have to start all again from the beginning. I cannot find a fix for this. If somebody can find a fix for this, please tell me. I think it has something to do with the fact that it was a Raspberry Pi operating system before and it isn't anymore. So I'm very confused. I can't get that working. So I always suspend the virtual machine because I run everything on virtual machines because I just don't feel like having to reboot my computer to go to another Linux operating system. Issue number 2, I've had awful performance issues. As long as you're running more than one window at a time, it lags like crazy. I think that this also happens to be an issue with the Raspberry Pi operating system kind of thing, because Raspberry Pis can't run anything at all. So if you were to have a Raspberry Pi opening an application, that's taking 100% CPU. So that is an issue, and they need to fix that issue with x86, because x86 machines can run more than one window at a time. Issue number 3, you say that it's not bloated at all. Okay, less bloated than most operating systems, which is kind of easy to do, but you still have like a BitTorrent client pre-installed. I don't get why you would do that. I'm not going to say torrenting is illegal. It isn't illegal. I will leave a video for that down in the description. Technically, you can torrent things that aren't illegal, but I know that 99% of people who has a torrent client is probably doing it for illegal things. So pre-installing a BitTorrent client on an operating system is bloat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I had to say that, but you can't say that your operating system is so unbloated and have BitTorrent installed by default. I don't know if this is an issue with the VM part of this, but I haven't had this issue with any of my other virtual machines, and well, it just seems like this is dumb. The screen resolution changing thing will never change it to 1920 by 1080. I cannot find 1920 by 1080 on that list anywhere in my VM. So it always has those borders, or it's too big for my screen. Another thing that I think might have something to do with the resolution, the bar will never be centered. It'll always be somewhere random along the top of my screen. Okay, so those are all of the bad things I can remember off the top of my head. If I do forget something, I'll probably add in the comments or something like that. Now, on to what it's good at. Absolutely nothing. I cannot think of a reason why you would use Among OS at any point in time, ever. Okay, I lied. There's one reason. Let's say you're gaming with the boys. You are streaming your screen, your full screen, okay? And you want to give them like a little bit of a troll. So you decide, everyone that's watching all of your amazing Among OS, and you don't feel like putting a border or rising up your desktop to look like an Among Us desktop. You just minimize out of the application, go to your desktop, and everyone has a little bit of a laugh. Other than that, no reason to use Among OS. But that was kind of to be expected if your operating system name is Among OS. Okay, now, a few things I want to get out of the way before I want to speak about some other distributions. I do not know how safe Among OS is. The code is open source, so you can check it out, but I haven't gotten like the clearance from anyone who has been checking out source code. Although I have no reason to believe that they would put anything malicious into the source code of Among OS. Disclaimer over. I think that the better option is not Windows, unless you are a gamer that needs to play video games that run on Windows, because that is a good reason to be on Windows. But Pop! OS or Mint, Linux Mint, both operating systems are kind of lightweight, very lightweight compared to Windows. Windows is a piece of trash when it comes to being lightweight. And then also, they are both way better in every single way, except for being sus. If you want to be sus, you're going to have to work it out by yourself. I have played a few Steam games on all of these distros. They are really nice. I've even played Minecraft on a few of them, which playing Minecraft through a virtual machine is never a good experience. Do not try it. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you probably want to be using Windows for gaming in any case, sadly, because, well, NVIDIA just doesn't support Linux as well as they do support Windows. If you are a Windows gamer, which I'm almost certain almost all of you guys are, you are probably better sticking to whatever operating system you're using right now, whether that be Windows 7, Windows 8.1, not Windows 8, Windows 10, and not Windows 11, because that is what you are used to, and your games that you like run on that. If they run on Linux, that's amazing. Please do try to switch, because Microsoft doesn't need to have all of your data. The issue is that Microsoft has a monopoly at this point in time. The more people who don't use their product, the better. And there's good news for you guys who use Steam only. Fist bump, high five. You are part of the elitist squad that is able to move to Linux soon, because Steam decided that they're going to make something called the Steam Deck, which runs on Linux. Their idea is to, as soon as possible, get every single game on Steam supported on the Steam Deck, which directly means it needs to be supported on Linux. What does that mean for sus people? Just rise your operating system. It doesn't matter if it's even Windows. I could probably make my Windows look like Among OS. Not exactly, but close enough that it would make the funny just as funny. Please don't use Among OS. Okay, so you're not going to listen to all my warnings. How would you become sussy? Let me get you a walkthrough. This walkthrough is not for Linux users, as if you're a Linux user, you've already probably done this. First, you'd need to go to the website linked in the description. You can check. It's not a bad website. It doesn't have any viruses or anything. But always check every website you go to. It's not good to click on random links. Next, you're going to have to follow with me on screen. But basically, you need to install the ISO for Among OS. Ha! Get rickrolled. Wait, it's actually downloading. And because I don't want to waste everyone's time, only the people who actually want to download Among OS, you can follow the video in the description, but instead of using an ISO for a different operating system, you can use the Among OS ISO you just got from the website. Remember, none of you should be doing this. This is also not a temporary solution. This is a permanent thing. If you do this wrong, your whole Windows install is now deleted, with everything on the hard drive deleted as well. So if you're moving to this operating system, it's going to be a full-time thing. If you came this far into the video, please like and subscribe. It's obvious that you enjoy it. If you want, I'm going to be doing a video on how I watch anime in Linux, which is going to be epic. And if you guys want it, I might end up doing a video on Hannah Montana OS. Again, only if you guys want. Leave your comments down in the description. If you have anything that you'd like me to take a look into, I'd be happy to do it. See you guys. Also, last thing, if you guys want me to do an outro, please tell me.